What is up, guys? My name is Sparky Midori, otherwise known as the Prince of Darkus, and it's been a hot minute, hasn't it? I haven't recorded for a couple weeks, but the main reason, without getting into too much detail as to how and who and why, but I was kind of just taken away from my recording space and room and house and everything for a couple weeks because of a family emergency that I had no prep time for in the slightest. But when I did have to leave my space to go do what I have to do, I did put up a community poll where you guys got to vote on what's the next video you guys get to see on my channel. And the G1 collection won by a landslide. At the start, it looked like the Skylanders collection showcase was going to win, but then it quickly changed to my G1 collection. So, without any further ado, let's get on to introductions. If you all know what this is a core Dragonoid from the reboot of Bakugan. This is the first reboot Bakugan I ever owned in my collection. And I know that because there's only one that I ever owned. Owned? Oh, come on, in Bakugan. Anyway, the first ever G1 Bakugan that I ever owned isn't even a singular Bakugan, it was 6. Okay, I don't have the original box with me anymore like I do with some of my other G2 Bakugan stuff, but if you remember back in the glory days of Bakugan, there used to be a 6-pack with, you would get a whole bunch of cards, Bakugan, enough for 2 people to play the game with, and you got 6 Bakugan included. These are the ones that I got first ever, with the exception of a few here which are actually replacements for the ones that I broke and or lost as a kid. So on screen you're going to see a photo of it now. My first ever box of Bakugan was actually a Darkest Fortress, Cyranoid, Ventus El Condor, Pyrus Monorus, Chaos Blade Tigrera, and I honestly, for the life of me, can't recall if my first Subterra Bakugan was a Rataloid or a Wormquake. It was one of the two. I don't have a Subterra Wormquake with me anymore, so Rataloid is going to take the substitute for this video's own purpose. But we're going to go on now to the rest of my collection, and unlike my other collection showcase videos where I could have gone over them methodically and list the stats of the Bakugan, so on and so forth, like I did with all the other ones, I have to go through these ones rather quickly. I'll keep some sort of semblance in order. I'm going to go through them by attribute, but there's over 100 Bakugan to go through in this video, and I don't have time to go through all their stats and everything and still keep this video short enough for you guys to watch. Anyway, on to the rest of the collection. Take it away, future me. Okay, so we're going to be going through this just in groups of factions. The first one we're going to do is my Pyrus Bakugan from G1. This is mainly because when I was a kid, Pyrus was my favorite faction, and as I mentioned earlier, I have a Pyrus Monorus that was from my first ever batch of Bakugan, and she is very sticky, very old, very shy, but there is the beautiful butterfly girl. Anyway, we have to go through a bunch of these fast. Next we're going to see is my Pyrus Wired, which I have featured in my Bakugan custom repaint video where I added a bit of silver tinting and a little bit of just detailing to his legs, which I still love to this day. Next, we have the first Bakugan I tried to custom paint, which I did because he is, as you can see, very broken, very stuck, very sticky, and you can see the paint job was very botched. This is just an experimental Bakugan I used to paint on. He doesn't even have a G power anymore, he's that faded and gunky and stuck, but it's one of the Dragos from Gandalian Invaders. I actually have another 2 Pyrus Dragos from this era of, if it could open. You know, that's one of them. This other one that works perfectly fine with 800G, and this is a perfect example of where you could see that Bakugan had random G powers back in the day. If it could open. There we go, got it open. This one only has 620 G power, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, there we go, 620. It's very hard to see. From one Drago to another, we have my sort of, sometimes likes to work, translucent Neo Dragonoid from New Vestroia with 680G. You know, I said I wasn't going to list all the G powers, but here I am doing that anyway. Anyway, here is the rival to that Drago. We have a Helios. Well, this is actually the Cyborg Helios, if I'm not mistaken. Hold on. Here is Viper Helios from New Vestroia as well. I also have 2 of the Maxis Dragonoids from the New Vestroya set. We got all the Maxis Drago pieces. I did not, unfortunately, get the Helios set. I only got the Drago one. One was a gift from a friend. The other one is one that I got in the original box. And I do still have all of my Maxis Drago trap pieces. Hold on, where is my... There it is. My Metal Fencer is the only one that's sort of broke. He doesn't quite close properly like he used to. Legs all go in fine. Head doesn't seem to stay in though. It sort of just juts out. I can kind of get it to close if I do this, but that defeats the purpose of it. Yeah, I got all the other Maxis Drago pieces still working, still functioning, and open. Thank you. There we go. Why is that stuck? There we go. Ranger got it open. Anyway, these aren't really Bakugan, but they are Pyrus, so I'm going to include them here. They're just little figurines. They used to come with some of the Bakugan. So this one's just for the Neo Dragonoid, and this is one for the Maxis Dragonoid. This one is translucent. He's just... I can't get it any cleaner than what I got it here, okay? Just cool little disc figures. I liked them as a kid. Still like them now. Here we have a Pyrus Terraclaw. Just, I wish I got more of the vanilla Bakugan instead of the main protagonist Bakugan over the years. But what can you do? Speaking of vanilla Bakugan, we got a Pyrus Warriors as well. Pyrus Ravenoid. Next, we have a bit of a weird one. This is apparently a Dragonoid, except he a little broken. See, he don't close. Right. He straight up, one thing will not stay shut. Well, the tail is just straight up broken. He's got a piece of plastic bent and warmed out. But if I do close the tail, then his wing opens, and it's just all sorts of mess. He broken. And to another Dragonoid, we have one of the Evos for Drago from New Vestroya. If he would open, that'd be lovely. There we go. I forget the name of this Dragonoid. Cross Dragonoid? I honestly can't remember. This one here was a gift from a friend. It is a, I don't even want to try and do a trick shot. It is a Pyrus Percival with the silver horns. Absolutely love the mold with the silver bits there. We now have a translucent Apollinaire, which I got from the US. For a few of these Bakugan I'm showing, I actually got from the US, but I just didn't specify. We also have here the last Pyrus Bakugan I got to show you. It isn't even a Bakugan, it's a trap. It is a Metal Fencer, or I can't remember which one this is. This one's a gift also from a friend when I graduated high school before we parted ways. I'm an idiot. I forgot one of my favorite Pyrus Bakugan in my collection, because it isn't even red, is a Bronze Attack Neo Dragonoid from the Vestroya. Or I keep forgetting if this is Neo Dragonoid, but yeah, this one is one of the best looking Bakugan I have because of the unique color palette. Sorry, I completely forgot about this one. Okay, next we got Aquas, and what Aquas collection would be complete without Preus? Now, unfortunately, this one does not have an elemental wheel full of shenanigans. He's just straight up an Aquas Preus. Next, we have an Aquasaurus. I just got it because I didn't have a Saurus in my collection. I did get this from the US, and I'm not gonna lie, I regret not getting more Saurus, or more just, again, generic Bakugan in my collection and not the main attraction Bakugan. I got more main attraction Gons than I do the generic ones. And that can be shown with this next Bakugan I'm going to show you, and that is a Aqua Sirenoid. Now, this is a one I got from the US as a replacement to the one that I originally had, which I have painted over and experimented with different paints because she proper does not open. She only opens if I like fandangle her tail around a bit over her side fin things, because something inside is just straight up not working at all. She don't open no more. That's why I got this one as a replacement. This one I then decided to experiment with some paint. Yeah, this one will be missed. This one here will be used very carefully going forward. Back to generic Bakugan, we got a Aqua Stinglash. This one I also got as a gift from that same friend when we parted ways in high school. We got Aqua Terraclaw. This one's from the US. We got ourselves a random Aquos Viper Helios, if you would open, there we go. This one is stronger than my Pyrus one, which is very just strange to me, but I like its color. The red really helps it pop. Next up, we have an Aquos Frosh, because it's just so easy to spin roll, I thought I would do it there. Anyway, one of the Elemental Ancients, if I'm not mistaken, that's what they were called. Same as Apollinaire, which you saw in the previous section. I forget the name of this Bakugan here, but it's that snake thing that Mylene used for like one episode only. But this one does have a like gunmetal treatment. You can see he's got like battle damage, black etching on his design, which is really cool. Next, we have a translucent Aquos Brontes, the clown guy. I have a fair few Brontes, not insane amount like I know some people do, but I got a lot of Brontes. Last two aren't Bakugan, they are traps. We have the we got tripod here, and I forget the name of this one, the snaky one. I forget the name of it. Excuse me, it's been a while. Okay, Chaos, we're gonna start with my Chaos Blade Tigrera, which is very, very sticky because her right side is like rusted shut. It doesn't move at all. I need to somehow fix that. But yeah, there's my Chaos Blade Tigrera. And I do also have a regular Tigrera, which I got from the US a few years ago. And while we're on the main Bakugan from the first generation, we got Tentaclear as well, one of my weakest Bakugan I have in my entire collection. We also got a Nemesis, just a basic Nemesis. We got the, I'll be honest, I forget the name of this one, but it's one of the Elemental Ancients. We got a Brontes from New Vestroya. We got another Brontes from New Vestroya. To show you I ain't making this up, I got two of them. We also got a Laserman, which is exceptionally shy, but that's him. My only Laserman in my collection. We got the first Drago I got from Gadalian Invaders, which is a Chaos one actually. We got a Chaos Lumagrowl, a Chaos Dual Elfin, which is also extremely shy. Every single Baku-tuber watching this or Bakugan fan is cringing every single time I smack them down. But they like are so old and so stuck, they do not open all the way. Yeah, no Elemental Wheel or G-Power Wheel unfortunately in this one. We also got a Chaos Wyvern, which is the closest thing to an anime accurate Wyvern I will have in my collection. We got a Chaos Chaos Serpenoid, there we go, jeez. And we have a basically brand new Chaos Bee Striker. I say basically new because I used to have a Chaos Bee Striker as a kid. I lost it over the years, and when I bought a lot of these Bakugan from the US, the seller showed me that this thing was actually still in its packaging when he wanted to sell it to me. But unfortunately, with how big the box was becoming, it was going to cost a lot more money to ship it out in the box still. So begrudgingly, he offered to unbox it and pack it and send it to me without the original packaging. So I took it, but when I opened it, it still had the B-Power sticker on it, so I knew it was still legit. I did open the box with this thing, and it still had the sticker on it in a previous video many years ago on this channel. But yeah, that's this Chaos Bee Striker. And look, this isn't a Chaos Bakugan, but it's the only one I have. It is a Crystal Brontes with the green variation, so it's got no faction at all, so I know it's not Chaos, but it does have a G-Power on it at 640, or is that? Yeah, that's 640 if I'm not mistaken. When I was a kid, I thought this was a Chaos one that just didn't have a marker on it at all, but yeah, that's my Chaos collection. Okay, moving on to Ventus. We have arguably one of the most expensive Bakugan in my G1 collection, and that is a translucent Ventus Storm Skyrus with 500B if I'm not mistaken. 500G if I'm not mistaken, or is it 550? No, that's 500. Next, this was a gift to me from a friend. It is one of Ingram's Evolutions if I'm not mistaken. And then straight from one Ingram to another, we have the classic Ingram. We have a Preus, which this one actually does have an elemental wheel. This one goes from Ventus to Chaos to Aquos and then back to Ventus again. So he's got one of 3 attributes he could become. Next, we got one that is very, very stuck. It is a Ventus Limulus, that like weird shoe crab horse thing. Next, we got an El Condor. Now, this El Condor is unfortunately not my original one I had as a kid. This is one that I got as a replacement because that same El Condor I lost over the years, sadly. We got Ventus, I believe, I can't remember the name of this one, Exedra? The Darkus Elemental Ancient, except I couldn't find him in Darkus. I got him in Ventus from the American seller a few years back. Next, we have the actual Ventus Elemental Ancient, which again, I can't remember the name of half of these Elemental Ancients, but again, from the American seller, if I'm not mistaken. I can't remember this Bakugan's name either for the life of me, but I do remember he has a special trick where you can extend his neck with his tail, which is now not working. There we go, I got it eventually. And I do have his gear as well, which is very old and very clunky. It doesn't quite work as well unless I help it along. That's this thing, a lump of plastic that I can't remember the name of. Next, we got another Beast Striker, a Ventus Beast Striker, which I got from the American seller just because I wanted an anime-accurate Beast Striker. Because if I'm not mistaken, Ventus was one of the only factions we ever saw Beast Striker in the anime. And lastly, my only Ventus trap I have is a Falconfly. It is very shy, though. He doesn't like to pop his head out and cooperate a fair bit of time, and it's even harder to close. Almost forgot, I thought this was a Darkus Bakugan for a second, but it is actually a Ventus Bakugan. This is a Ventus Baku Steel Treatment Altair. It's very hard to see on the camera, but he does have like off shades of gunmetal sort of grading on his plastic. But yeah, this is my Ventus Altair. Okay, next up we have Subterra, and we have the previously mentioned, possibly first Subterra Bakugan I ever owned, which is a Rataloid, excuse me. This is unfortunately not the same Rataloid I had as a child. This is another replacement I bought to replace the one that I lost over the years. Next up, we have a Subterra Monarus. There we go. Next, I have 2 of the Maxis Helios legs, both in Subterra though. I do not have any other Maxis Helios parts except maybe the Cyborg Paris one you saw towards the start of this video. Next up, we have a Subterra Cyranoid? There we go, Subterra Cyranoid. Next, I have 2 of the same Subterra Wildas. Here's an odd one. I have a Subterra Hades in my collection. Another weird Vexus Bakugan. We have a Subterra Wired, if we would open up, please. We got ourselves a Subterra Garganoid, my only Garganoid from Battle Brothers. We got Classic Gorum, and we got Hammer Gorum as well. He is a little shy sometimes because his one side here is a little stuck, but I got both Gorums. Base Gorum looking a lot better than Hammer Gorum. We got the Claif, the Subterra Elemental Ancient. We got another one of those Dragos that I mentioned earlier, which is just straight up broken. He don't close properly like he used to anymore. But this one also, because he's broken, I used him like I used the Cyranoid that's busted. I tested paints on him till I eventually came to a paint that I like, which I now use in my repaint videos. We got ourselves a Subterra Juggernoid. Juggernoid, there we go. Subterra Juggernoid. We got a Subterra Stinglash, if you would open, there we go. Here's a funky one. We got ourselves the duo Subterra, Angelo and Diablo Bakugan, the one where it's both of them in one. Next up, the only trap Bakugan I have in Subterra is this, which if I'm not mistaken, I think is called Juggernauts, I think. And the last Subterra Bakugan I have to show you is this Baku Frost Subterra, I forget the name of this Bakugan, but it was like a once-off Bakugan in the show, which you only ever saw once and never again. But I love the design. It's so different to everything else that we have. And it's Baku Frost, my only Baku Frost Bakugan I got. Okay, last but certainly not least, we have Darkus, my current favorite faction and has been for a few years. So first we're going to show you the Bakugan, just get out of the way, the Bakugan you see in almost every other one of my videos, my Darkus Dragonoid. Then we got the other Bakugan you guys see in every other one of my videos, my Darkus Griffin. Next, we have the first ever Darkus Bakugan I owned, which is a Darkus Fortress. Next up, I have got two Darkus Percival, both with the exact same G stats as well. Next, we got only a Darkus Diablo. He's a bit shy at times. He unfortunately is just a Diablo. He's not a Diablo Angelo mix. We got ourselves a Darkus Wormquake, one of the strongest Darkus Bakugan I have with a 620 G stat. We have ourselves a Darkus Dual Elfin, no Elemental Wheel shenanigans, unfortunately. But I do have a Darkus Elfin, which does have an Elemental Wheel, except it's useless. See, this Elfin here is Darkus, right? She has a wheel that goes from, you kind of seen it already. It is a wheel with, if it could spin, that'd be great. It is Aquas, Subterra, and Chaos. No Darkus to be seen on this wheel. So she's a Darkus Elfin that can't even be Darkus. Alright, moving on, we got ourselves a Darkus Ravenoid, a Darkus something. I can't remember the name of this Bakugan. It was a Bakugan that was like seen once or twice in the show from one of the side characters and not anyone in the main cast. I forget this thing's name. But I think it's my strongest, or at least one of my strongest Darkus Bakugan in my collection at 700G. We got ourselves a Darkus Neo Dragonoid. And one of my favorite Bakugan I have in Darkus in my collection, we have ourselves a Darkus Harpus. Thank you, Darkus Harpus, for opening. I've always wanted a Harpus, and I love the idea of Harpus in Darkus. Next, I got a trap to show you. It's my only Darkus trap, Darkus Scorpion. And I also got myself here a Darkus Wyvern. And one of the strangest Bakugan in my collection. It's a Bakugan that his magnet works. It works very well. But he doesn't even need a magnet to open, because he has a button. Darkus Freezer, everyone. I also got this weird Bakugan shooter thing. I unfortunately didn't get any of the gauntlets from the first batch of Bakugan toys that were released. I only got this one. But yeah, got this thing too. Also, besides this gate card, I do have a fat stack of gate cards and ability cards that I've collected over the years. And I'm not going through all these things in the slightest, but there's that as well, I guess. And there we have it, everyone. That is my G1 Bakugan collection from when I was a child, and even some that I collected a few years back when I had adult money and I could buy more Bakugan from overseas. It was fun to go through all this Bakugan again with you all, but it felt a bit weird as well. It felt a bit disjointed to go through so many at once, but it was fun. Let me know what you guys think of this collection. I know it's not the greatest, I know it's not the biggest, but it's mine and I'm proud of it. Let me know what your favorite G1 Bakugan is in the comments down below as well, and I'll see you all in the next video. Bye bye!